thought maybe I'd do a quick little football GM review. This league is started in 2023, I think, with real teams. Well, not real players, but real teams. One cool thing that I see a lot of people ask, they don't know. If you go to the league leaders page, you can sort by career or all time, and you can see, single season records. If you do all there, I don't know, there it goes. So, this is the highest yards I've seen thrown in a season. Highest passing touchdowns. I play with passing settings a little bit tweaked. I'm honestly surprised, though, with 17 games, you'd think somebody would have passed for 50 by now, but 5,200 seems like a reasonable amount of yards. These guys in red, I think, are in the Hall of Fame. Green were our active. Blue was guys that were on one of your teams. I kind of spectated this one a lot, but then I started playing it more and more as the history got built, because I find that a little bit more enticing. Look at this guy with an insane amount of receiving yards in one season, 2,300. But yeah, no, kind of a cool feature. One thing, too, I've been doing with this file lately is I updated injuries to it. I kind of like the way it plays now. Seems like more career-altering injuries happen, and they don't happen at a super high rate, but the default vanilla version of this game still has basketball injuries and the basketball rate, which isn't super realistic, but yeah, look at this. This guy's got a monstrous lead. Pretty interesting player this guy was. He was first round, first overall, but if you look at his ratings way down here, he was only a 54 coming into the league, and his throw vision, throw power, and throw accuracy weren't that high. I also play with a little bit different age settings for drafts, just because I feel like some players don't regress or progress super realistically to football. So, like, this guy came in the league and started his rookie season at 20 years old. He had a pretty good prog for a rookie year, 11 plus. Very good throwing attributes there that slowly got better and better as he kept playing. Kind of like an Aaron Rodgers meets Doug Flutie because of that short height. And some of the stats are kind of similar, other than maybe touchdown to interception ratio, because he threw a lot of picks early on. But 561 touchdowns to 218 interceptions. Still pretty good. Only one championship, so that's kind of why I get Aaron Rodgers vibes from this guy, and also because he switched to the New York Jets late in his career and didn't have much success. They ended up trading him to Dallas, where he ended up actually playing 18 games in a season, which is fairly rare, but clear it was time to hang up the laces by then. But yeah, no, that's cool stuff that you can do in this game, and you can do that in the player stats page too, all or career. You also notice I play on mobile. I actually really like the UI on here, especially with the new update with the playing field, which I'll probably show off here in a second. I haven't really ever checked out player graphs, and this is beyond me. There's so much stuff you can check out with this game. It profiles and keeps track of so much data, but it's super interesting. I think it's Frivolities. I think that's how you pronounce it. These are, really cool to look at. Biggest busts, I don't think that one necessarily works the greatest, Because sometimes there'll be guys that are like very good on there, and you're like, they were not a bust. I'm sorry, but they weren't. Best players without a ring is pretty cool. Best players without an MVP. I find like Progs super interesting. Career Progs. GOAT Lab is really fun. That quarterback I just showed you is my league's GOAT. And I used the GOAT code provided by, I think his name is Blast on Discord. He's got a really good GOAT code. Yeah, let's check it out quick. Because my second GOAT was actually a guy that position that I feel like I don't see very much. This guy, kind of, I think he has career stats and kind of similar to Ed Reed, if I'm not mistaken. But here, let's hide his rushing and receiving stats. But yeah, five touchdowns for 5 defensive touchdowns in his career, 63 defensive interceptions, really good career. Won 1 championship, an all-star for 12 seasons. So, that's basically the Pro Bowl in these types of leagues. One other thing, too, I do in these leagues is I do a lot of data manipulation and fixes that I think add more parity and make the ratings look better. Like you'll notice my top teams are usually always flirting with 100 overall. And then it drops off. And it's still pretty good parity because teams that are like 50 overall will sometimes still, win a decent amount of games, like this Bengals team, this Houston team. And it's all because you don't know how these teams are made up, and like if they have a really good quarterback, for example, here, this that can usually carry a bad team. Defensive line and O-line can do it too. Like, let's see. Yeah, like this team went 9-8 with a 47 overall and had the 5th best offensive line, but a really bad defensive line, so that probably held them back. Defensive line number 1, of course, probably the best team in the league. Pretty cool stuff. But yeah, going back to like my tweaks and roster fixes and stuff like that, like one thing I do for a lot of positions, I make height match their actual height. So this guy's 6 foot, he's going to be 60 height. Speed, endurance, don't really mess with that stuff a whole lot. But yeah, I try to make like out of position stuff not happen as often either. Defensive linemen get a lot of interceptions in this game, unfortunately, still, so I usually put their pass coverage at 0. And I also do, I think I do their actual height minus 2. So like 5'10", I think is 70 inches tall. So yeah, he's going to have a 68 height. Yeah, it's more important with these running backs and wide receivers because they can be kind of broke. And I didn't do fixes for running backs quite enough, like maybe I should have, because they can put up really monstrous receiving stats. I just found out still, because I thought mainly that was an issue that had been fixed, which it has, but it can still happen. Like this guy is 2162 for routes and hands. And let's see how he's done receiving-wise in his career. Pretty solid. Yeah, this is a good receiving back. He's not, like, amazing, but he definitely is a guy that would help you win some games in real life and in this game. Let's see. Yeah, he came into the league pretty young, 20. Usually I don't like running backs being that young in this game. It's like I said, it's a progression and regression issue. I feel like most of the time if you get a good running back in this game and they come in the league at 21, 22 years old. They're just going to put up insane career stats that just really aren't realistic to football. There's a lot that goes into, being a good running back, and a lot of it is luck and chance and the right situation. But because, you got to remain healthy too. And, a lot of these guys don't put up back-to-back 1,000-yard rushing seasons, but in this game they can. So it's something you got to kind of try to fix. Another thing I do, receivers usually, they won't have much of an elusiveness or ball security stat just to discourage the game's AI from putting them in situations where they run the ball too much. So like this guy, a few rushing attempts every season, but if those weren't, maxed out to zero or minned out to zero rather, there's a good chance this guy could be rushing for way more yards than what a receiver should in a season. And yeah, pretty good receiving stats for this guy. Terrible speed. Holy cow. Let's see how he's done in his latest few seasons. Probably not very good, I'm guessing, with that sort of speed. Yeah, he's all reliable, but he's fallen off a cliff hard. But yeah, that's just some of the stuff you can do in this game. These history tabs are always really cool too. Team history. You could see all these retired jersey numbers. I just unretired a bunch because I hate. One thing I hope we get the option eventually is to set specific jersey numbers so you don't get. That's a number 20, but let's say this guy, 35, still realistic, but you guys have seen it. There's a lot of receivers and running backs and tight ends that are just at weird numbers. Like this guy's number 12 is a tight end. Kind of annoying stuff like that, but not much you could do to fix it other than to try to give them an assigned number when they're still a draft pick. That kind of covers a lot of stuff. Let's go over what I was talking about with those out of position things with something I didn't notice. Player stats, all. What do we want? We want career. It's going to take a second to load. There we go. So we'll type in running back here, and let's just see. I think it might already be sorted. Receiving yards. Yeah, like this running back, this dude was insane. Justin Burdett. He didn't have, an insane rushing career, but this guy was definitely a dynamic weapon especially with all these accolades you can see. But yeah, I almost wonder if because of his attributes, let's see. So he didn't really even have super great receiving attributes, it looked like. Oh, no, he did. I'm looking at elusiveness. Yeah, he did have amazing receiving attributes and just kind of average elusiveness and not very good ball security. So this guy probably should have been a wide receiver, to be honest. And I'm sure he was. I'm sure he was in the depth chart as a wide receiver. This guy is like basically, like your Eric Metcalf, your Deebo Samuel, your Percy Harvin on steroids. I mean, look at these fantasy points in a season. It's ridiculous. There's so much cool stuff you can look at with this game, and and I'm hoping to eventually kind of add real rosters, but it's difficult with the time slots that I have for work and just the interest killing I get in this, because you work on something and you're just like, I just want it to be finished so I can play through, and and watch, the what if scenarios and things like that. One last thing I'll check here. Should I do career progs or best progs? I'll do career progs and just see, the biggest, plus 59. So that guy, peak 83, he's still playing right now. So these are guys that were not very good when they got drafted and just got a lot better very quick. And then on the opposite side, you'll have, I think the way you could see it is worst injuries, probably. I wish there was like a biggest regression, but worst injuries will probably do it for us too. And I changed injuries pretty recently on these, so probably like 2040-ish, I would say. But yeah, like this seems like a lot of cornerbacks end up on here. I don't know why that is, but overall drop of 15. Yeah, you can kind of see how it changes the trajectory of some of these guys' careers. Like, he was slated to be probably a pretty good cornerback at 26 years old. I mean, kind of was reaching his potential, but yeah, he fell off a cliff quick. And let's see if his stats kind of followed that. Yeah, they did. So he brought a lot of value to this team, and then all of a sudden, he just kind of fell off a cliff and probably wasn't the same player anymore. So those are the kind of things I want to see. League settings. I have my own settings for bio info. I have my own settings. I really like these settings for team sizes. Just because I think it helps the game AI for drafting and free agency. I like these settings for the cap for the same reason. Because when I do free agency, you'll notice most of the good free agents are not just sitting there during the season, which is what I want. I want to see the good players actually play. These contracts too play into it, the rookie salary scale. I don't know how I came to settle on all of this, but I've been playing the game a long time, and I just kind of kept toying around with settings until I found something that I liked where I could play through it, and it felt somewhat realistic and challenging to build a good team. My draft ages. I like to do 19 and 29 just because I kind of view it as almost, an injury scale or, a potential slider at the same time. You can draft, some young guys who are probably not going to be very good but might sit on the bench 1 or 2 seasons, and then by the time they're 21, 22, usually that's the age that seems to get big progs in this game for some reason, and then guys kind of hit their peak at like 25, 26, 27 in there, and then they kind of slowly start to fall off or just kind of maintain. And that's not always the case, but it's typically there. Injuries, I have my own custom injuries I really like. I could share those if you guys would like. Pace settings I really have liked. Sometimes I notice they rush the ball at a bad time, which is annoying. It's annoying when you have like a 3rd and 19 and your team rushes the ball, but that's also why I have this 4th down aggressiveness set so high. Interception I have high just because I feel like this game sim favors offenses a lot. But anyways, let's check out the coolest new feature in this game. This team I've actually been managing for a few seasons. I started with Detroit, so New York I didn't really do anything with, but Detroit, that's when I first was like actually trying, and I play with God mode on, but I kind of role play through it. So the only reason I was with Detroit for so long was because I kept winning playoff games, but I kind of felt like by 2043 with the mediocrity and just kind of not really finding a path, it felt like they would have kicked me out by then, and maybe even before then. So then I decided to restart with the Saints. And luckily for me, they were a decent team, and they also had the first overall pick, which was Brody Noble, rather, who's been pretty good for us. Not amazing, hasn't been an all-star or anything yet, but let's see how he fares. And this is how I like to watch a lot of these games. Sometimes I used to watch them all the way through, but with fictional players, there's just not as much of a draw for me because you see these names pop up and you're just kind of like, left to your imagination, and you don't really know. You can't picture these guys the way you could if they were real athletes. Anyways, let's watch this game. And this field looks so good on mobile, I have to say. And usually what I like to do, sometimes I'll do like end of quarter. Kind of watch these games all the way through, but what I really like to do is just hit last 2 minutes a lot of the time and kind of see, what the most exciting part of the game is going to look like. So right now, and of course this game sim's not perfect, but, it replicates stats pretty well to real life. Let's see what happens here. It's our ball. We're at our own 32. It looks like we just completed a pass or something, but let's see. Yeah, it looks like we're at the 49. Oh, and we just scored another touchdown. 49 yards to Billy Knight. Extra point. So the Falcons are in bad shape here. Let's see if they can do anything with 1:53 left on the clock. And they're probably not going to be able to. Anyways, sorry this video went a little bit longer than I intended to, but I feel like this game doesn't get enough love on YouTube and just in videos in general, and it's kind of at the point where it should, especially with this update. This is really cool, and I don't play Madden. I don't play many football games just because I don't have fun with them anymore, and it sucks, but that's where I'm at. So every day I kind of go on Steam and I look at, what my options are for football games, and there's nothing too compelling for me yet. Maximum Football looks interesting. I hope to see that come out soon. But yeah, I see these other sports sim games kind of similar to this, and I read about them. I read user reviews, and and it looks like that's the game for Atlanta. But yeah, I kind of read, the user reviews and just the opinions and kind of come to the conclusion that I'm probably better off still playing ZenGM. And so we win our first round. Pretty good for us in Noble's career. And maybe I will make a video too on this. Thank you guys for watching.